Welcome to Destination Business Freedom, hosted by Pat Mancuso. Join us as we explore success strategies and hacks from leading entrepreneurs, helping you bridge the gap between financial success and personal freedom. Your journey starts here.
Thanks for joining us today on Destination Business Freedom. My name is Pat Mancuso, and I'm the host of our podcast where I interview thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners who have either exited their business, are on that journey, or who are contributing to others on that journey. My goal is to help small to medium-sized businesses close the gap between their finances and their freedom and ultimately arrive at their destination and exit their business, whatever that might look like to them. We've got a very, very special guest today that I'm going to introduce here in just a second, but I do want to bring you a sponsorship message. This episode is brought to you by the Mancuso Consulting Group, where we are committed to helping entrepreneurs and business owners close the gap between their finances and their freedom. The Mancuso method was created by Pat Mancuso and encompasses over 30 years as an owner of multiple businesses and has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners. He helps rise above the daily grind and arrive at their desired destination, which is the reason most business owners got in the business in the first place. When you go to www.themancuso.com and take our short assessment, you receive a powerful report with your personalized roadmap to your destination. Additionally, Pat will provide you a 30-minute free consultation and review that roadmap with you. And within that 30 minutes, if he doesn't bring at least $10,000 worth of value to you, he'll write you a check for $500 on the spot. So go to www.themancuso.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited about our guest today for a number of reasons. First, I've followed this individual for a number of years in what they've done in the marketplace and in their business. And also, I have the opportunity to be in a business relationship with them right now, where she is helping me in my business. So let me share with you, our guest today is a former marketing executive for NASA turned entrepreneur. That's an interesting story. We'll hear a little bit about that. She recently placed in the top 10 for Marketer of the Year at the Magnetic Marketing Conference, where Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy awarded her with a Brass Balls Award. That's an interesting one. She works as an outsourced chief marketing officer and is responsible for millions of dollars of revenue each year for various businesses. She even wrote a book titled Outsource Your Marketing, which is getting rave reviews for its unique insights. Our guest also created the #1 channel on YouTube for magazine publishing and turned traffic into a six-figure business. She's been invited to speak about marketing and making big money with a small channel for Video Marketing World, Think Media, and ClickFunnels Radio about her results. When not working, she can be found in her painting studio where she's learning how to master the Bob Ross painting technique and is working towards a teaching certification. Do you remember those little happy trees from TV? Not sure that I do, but I'm going to have to ask her about that. So helping us today create more impact with less legwork, please join me in welcoming DeVore Richter. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pat. Awesome to be here.
Well, we're very excited. And, one of the things that I know is everybody could use more effective marketing to create more leads, to do more business. So I know we're going to jump into that process here in a bit. So, I always like to start with a little bit of the journey that our entrepreneurs have experienced. And you've got kind of an interesting one, the NASA piece. And so let's just start with that a little bit and talk about, you actually worked for NASA.
I did. Yeah.
And what did you do?
I was a manager of advertising and consumer research, which is basically all of the paid marketing for the Kennedy Space Center. And a lot of people ask me the question, well, why does NASA even need marketing? Everybody knows about NASA. It's like one of the most famous brands around the world, which is true. But it's also one of the top 5 most visited tourist destinations in Florida, competing with Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, all of the other tourist attractions in the state. And so my job was to create paid advertising, commercials, billboards, sales collateral, radio ads that would, for tourists, to basically steal them away from the mouse for a day, I used to say. So that's what I did for NASA. Yeah.
I love it. And so it was funny when you said, people ask you, why do you need advertising? The best form of advertising is a rocket going up that's covered by the news media, right? I mean, oh my gosh. So obviously your background there in marketing, lends itself to how you got to today and what you're doing. But let me ask you, what was the trigger for the transition to the entrepreneurial world?
And there was a moment where the president of our division said to me one day as I was walking out the front door after working about a 12-hour day and on my way to night school. I was getting a master's program, and this was before the internet, so you had to actually show up to class live. After this super long day and all this dedication, he says to me, "Where are you going, Jen? You working a half day today?" And something viscerally changed for me, my DNA level, where I said, you know what? I really enjoy working here. It was if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere job. It was fantastic. I have so many cool stories. But the fact that I was sacrificing my personal life and then not really being recognized in return triggered something for me. And I decided to quit corporate work basically altogether. It was a transition out. I didn't like leave on the spot, but over a period of I would say 2-3 years, I transitioned into entrepreneurship.
And so had you been mentored by anybody or followed anybody in that journey at all? Or it was just okay, I'm going to go do it and I'll figure it out as I go?
At the beginning, it was, I'm going to go do it and figure it out as I go, truthfully. And the first thing that I did was what a lot of entrepreneurs do is I turned my hobby into a business. On the weekends, when I had time on the weekends from working, I was learning photography, and I eventually ended up becoming a certified professional photographer, which is like becoming a CPA or some other certification in a profession, pick one. So I earned a CPP designation over a period of years. And then I turned that CPP designation and that experience into a very successful wedding photography studio in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was even rated the #2 photography studio in the entire Northeast Florida region out of hundreds of photographers. But I made a lot of mistakes just because I was figuring it out on my own. The fuel that made it succeed was that I'm a marketer, and I never treated myself as a starving artist who would, take pictures of anything for anyone at any price. I never looked at it that way. I was always at the top of my game, very successful, high-end photographer. But the problems that I encountered as a first-time entrepreneur were in building systems and teams. Everything was basically on me. I had 2 assistants that were we call them second shooters, who would come with me on jobs, but the other aspects of the business were all on me. And so I basically quit. I walked away from the business at the pinnacle. I fulfilled all my contracts and did all that, but I basically walked away from it and took a year-long sabbatical to try to figure out a different way of being in business because I made so many mistakes at the beginning.
So it actually segues nicely into one of the questions I always ask, entrepreneurs and business owners, at this stage in the conversation is, so looking back, what are maybe 1 or 2 of the biggest mistakes you felt like you made in that journey? We all make them and they're great learning opportunities, but there's always some commonality too to those mistakes for entrepreneurs. And so what do you think those were for you?
In the photography studio, it was not having systems and a team in place. Everything was on me, and I had to show up for every job. So then I decided, I took about a year-long sabbatical, and then I went into business with 2 business partners, 2 gentlemen, to open an agency, a marketing agency.
Okay.
Because that was, again, back to my skill set. I didn't want to have to start from scratch and learn another trade. So I just went marketing and started an agency, more like a branding agency, but doing website design and logo design and things. And that agency still runs today. This was, about, a good 12 years ago, but it still is successful and runs today. But the mistakes that we made there were that we were competing on price a lot. We were seen as a commodity and as a vendor. And we hadn't really positioned ourselves. We didn't know any better to position ourselves as the authority in our space and to really work on building our personal brand through publishing books and creating magazines and sales funnels and shows and all the things that I know now to do.
Right.
So at that business venture, I left. I bowed out gracefully about 4 years ago when I moved to Colorado to implement the more of the strategies around authority building, creating a show, focusing on self-publishing, and positioning myself as an expert. And my mentors, like you mentioned at the beginning in my introduction, are Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson. Those are the people that I follow. I'm on a very strict diet of direct response marketing from Dan. He insists upon it. But I just basically just really started implementing everything that I had been studying from Dan and Russell to help me overcome some of the mistakes that I had made about, not having systems, not having teams, being seen as a vendor, competing on price, being a commodity in the marketplace. And it's worked really well for me, now.
Yeah,
but those were the mistakes that I made at the beginning.
So I'm going to come back to the Dan Kennedy and Russell conversation in just a second, but I want to ask you to kind of flip that upside down. And what was your biggest success in that journey, or your journey to date as a business and entrepreneur and business owner?
Well, the marketing success that I just got the award for from Russell and Dan and Top 10 Marketer of the Year was on my YouTube channel. So when I moved to Colorado, we moved from Florida, my husband and I, from Florida to Colorado in 2019. And we literally left everything behind, Pat. I walked away from my business. My husband quit his job. The kids were off to college at their campuses. We left over 20 years of family and friends to start from scratch. And when we moved to Colorado, the first thing that I did was I joined the National Speakers Association. The Colorado in Denver has a really strong chapter. It's one of the elite chapters of the entire national organization. I joined the chapter. I got on the board. I've been the marketing director since 2019. And I started positioning myself as a keynote speaker, author, coach, and that worked really well. Well, then everybody knows lockdowns came in 2020, and my entire business model went it just blew up because we couldn't do live events. I was hosting my own workshops once a month with strategic, doing joint venture relationships in Denver with bigger companies that had lists and locations, training locations. So that entire business model broke, just went, to dust.
Yeah.
And then
pivot, right?
Yeah, I mean, just overnight. And then conferences got shut down, so I couldn't get paid as a keynoter anymore. And one of my clients at the time is famous on YouTube. He's a famous plumber. His name's Roger Wakefield. And we were, just kind of talking in one of our meetings, and just as friends, actually. It wasn't even like a client meeting at the time. But he said, Jen, what you need to do is you need to get on YouTube. He and I had met on the conference circuit, speaking at a lot of the same entrepreneur conferences and stuff. And he said, what you need to do is just get on YouTube and really take it serious. And he introduced me to his YouTube coach. Coaches, there's probably about 3 of them, but one in particular. I just really started implementing on YouTube and took it serious like it was my job, literally like it was my job. And no other keynoters were doing that. No other speaker, author, coaches didn't really understand how to use YouTube in that way. And that really worked for me. And over the years, I've turned just the channel into its own 6-figure business operation because I have been able to rank my videos in search.
Right.
I'm not necessarily concerned about going viral. This is how we met, actually, is because you found me on YouTube, I believe.
Absolutely.
But it's I'm really good at understanding how to get YouTube videos to rank in search and turn that into a really lucrative business that has its own systems. It has its own team. It has everything. I'm just responsible for showing up, making the videos, and doing sales. I do sales, and then kind of overseeing projects. But that channel in particular has been a huge win for me as a business owner, and awarded the Brass Balls Award because it was so different, such a unique approach, and it really worked great. My results have been amazing. So I would say in the last couple of years, that's probably my biggest win.
That's your biggest win. So Jen, let me ask you this. This is kind of the last question on your journey. What's been the biggest surprise for you as an entrepreneur? Like something you weren't expecting in that journey What's been that biggest surprise?
The biggest win for me as an entrepreneur has been the fact that other entrepreneurs want to see me win and succeed. Everybody has been very open and supportive with sharing what's working for them and giving me access to the coaches, the resources, the tools, the conferences, the stages, the shows, the inside track on what to work. And that's just, you wouldn't expect that, I think, from the outside looking in, but it has been my experience.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's true. I'm not sure for me if that was true early on in my journey, because I was in real estate, and real estate is super competitive, and it's a different world. And yet in the last 10 years, probably for me, that has been true. Is where people they want to see entrepreneurs succeed. They don't want to see them fail, and so they're certainly willing to do that. So I want to make a transition. And, the first thing I want to get your opinion on, because I feel likely the same way that you do, but let's take Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy has been around forever, right? Like, I'm thinking 50 years, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, probably.
And I hear people go, well, that stuff doesn't work anymore, and that's old. And I follow Dan and I follow Russell, and you are absolutely I would say, without putting words in your mouth, a disciple of Dan's. And so when you hear people say those things, like talk about, let's just make the transition to marketing of today. I think people think sometimes it's got to be so new, so reinvented, so different. And yet the fundamentals that, in this case, that you project are coming from, Dan, and you're adding your twist to it, obviously. But when people talk about that, give me your perspective on that.
Okay. So before I get into that, first, I'll just say, good, let them continue to think that, because that gives me a competitive advantage. If you don't want to learn how to write copy that sells, like Dan's a copywriter.
Right.
First off, that's his first primary identity. And then he's a business owner and a teacher, information marketer after that. But, good copy sells no matter what platform it's on. And magnetic marketing is super simple. It's market message media. That is a timeless tripod that will remain in understanding your market, having the right message, and putting it on the right media is a marketing strategy that is time tested and true. Now, what might change over time is the media, and you might go from, like I went to YouTube. That is a new media. It might not even be around in 5 or 10 years. I have no idea what's going to happen with AI, but for now it's working. So I'm there, but direct mail still works. The, kind of like the old school stuff, magazines, they still work. People, if you sell to a high end affluent market, people love getting stuff in the mail, especially if it's great, if it's really good, high quality stuff. People love it. I have tons of magazines at my house, like, Colorado Homes and all these like really high end magazines from stores or, just marketers that want to get in front of me and get my money out of me. And they send me print in the mail, and I send them money back. I end up buying furniture,
buying stuff. Yeah.
It still works. So I don't care. People can think whatever they want. I'm just going to go with what's tried and true, and then adjust as needed when it comes to the media for traffic. That's kind of sales funnels part of it, where like the Russell Brunson thinking comes in. If you want to automate a business and put it online versus having direct mail, then you need to think about, where's your traffic going to come from? And YouTube for me is where the majority of my automated traffic comes from, for now.
Right.
But it's working for me. And then I take the principles of magnetic marketing and I married them with the principles of modern digital marketing, AKA sales funnels, basically.
Sales funnels, yeah.
And worked it out. And so my YouTube channel is the traffic. I'm using the modern what's working now there to rank the videos, get people to watch them. But then I think about every video on the channel is just fueling traffic to my funnels, to my magazine subscriber page, to my pre-recorded webinar, to my action guide that I give away, to my book that I want people to buy on Amazon. And then that traffic going to those funnels has a process. A lot of it is largely automated, but it has a process with modern marketing, like email drip campaigns and And then the other part is I like to sell old fashioned, I guess, but with Zoom, I like to have conversations. I don't think anybody's going to hand over thousands of dollars to you without speaking to a human being. So it's kind of like you have to look at your buyer's journey and then figure out what's tried and true, Dan Kennedy style stuff that's just never going to change no matter what, because we're dealing with human beings. And then how can you integrate the modern marketing aspect of sales funnels when it makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do it just to do it, but when it makes sense, when do you plug in that modern marketing?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So somebody, we're going to take just 2 seconds, and I want your perspective on AI, because AI is the craze. Everybody's leverage this, do that. So I'm just curious from your perspective, because I know you're cutting edge, and I know you look at things and you do leverage technology. I do know that because of my experience so far in the process with the digital magazine, which we're going to talk about, I know here. But give me your perspective on AI.
I was a very early adopter of AI, especially as a marketer. And I experimented with a lot of different things, a lot of different platforms. And I think it has its place. It's kind of like, when I worked at Kennedy Space Center, it was kind of pre-internet. It was like, not really pre-internet, but like pre-internet in terms of marketing. We were still doing spending money on commercials and radio ads and billboards and stuff and they still do because it works. But then the internet started every business needed a website, like in 1998, around that time. So then everybody needed a website. We started building a website. And at first, all the hubbub about having a website was like, do we really need that? Like what we're doing now actually is working. It's fine. I don't know if we need to add this new thing. And I'm kind of experiencing AI through that worldview of like, it's here and it's not going anywhere. And I think it's just like anything, the internet, money, anything can be used for evil if that's what you use it for, but it can also be used for good.
Right.
And it's just a tool. And as a business owner and as a marketer, we just need to be smart on, where it makes sense for us to use it in an ethical way and where it doesn't. I'm still a big believer in, like direct response marketing, making sure that the copy is correct. And a lot of that just comes down to being a human being. I don't know. AI is just not there yet in terms of really, truly understanding the language that your prospects are using, because the AI for now isn't following you around to all of your client meetings and hearing from their heart the pain that they have.
Right. The emotion.
They're not hearing. It's not hearing that. So it can like regurgitate some computerized copy or something for you. But you can tell. I mean, I can tell when on social media when people are using AI to create posts. It's like pretty obvious. And then but that human aspect of really understanding that marketing is just solving. It's the communication that we solve problems for people. It's matchmaking business that solve a problem to people that have a problem, and that human element of it hasn't been replaced yet. I don't. AI. So I think
you can leverage it, but you got to bring the human, your touch, your part of it to it. So if there were 1 or 2 top AI tools that you're using to share with people, what would they be?
I mean, I'm pretty much only on ChatGPT at this point.
Okay.
I've tried all of them. A friend of mine named Austin Armstrong has a tool called Syllabi. If you're a video content creator, it's syllabi.ai. And I've been champion of his from the beginning. I'm not getting paid to say this is not a sponsored post, but it's just the program is pretty cool. And it really helps with coming up with ideas for content. It'll generate scripts for you. He's even got, the AI generated spokesperson in there and all that stuff, which if that's your style, fine. It's not mine, but if it's yours, but it might be something to check out. So I would say Syllabi is really cool. And then just ChatGPT, the paid version of it is phenomenal now.
Okay, enough on AI. So let's get to the good stuff. So I'm a business owner. I'm hearing you talk. I'm going, yeah, Jen, you're making a lot of sense. Where do I start? Like, where do you coach somebody that isn't doing any marketing or is doing marketing and isn't working? Like, where would you coach them to start right now in today's world?
You need an irresistible offer. So first you need to understand what problem you solve and how you do it in a unique way. And then
Okay.
you package that problem solution, idea into an irresistible offer. We call it in ClickFunnels land. And the irresistible offer is meant to make your competition irrelevant. And I think a lot of marketing problems can be solved by understanding what problem you solve and how you do it in a unique way, and creating an experience and a package for your clients. That's a no-brainer. So if I had to pick one first step, it would be, let's look at your offers. Let's look at what you sell.
Yes.
And then the other reason why I say that is because the fastest and easiest way to raise revenue in any business is simply to increase your price. And so you might already have a decent offer where it's like, it's okay, we kind of understand what our problem is. We have a couple solutions. You might have too many solutions, truthfully, but looking at the offer and going, how can we make this irresistible and or increase the price?
Right.
Not by just jacking the price up, but by providing more value, which in turn makes it irresistible. So when I work with clients, that's usually the first thing I look at is, what are you selling? Because we can fast path to cash by increasing the price with the leads that you currently have, or just repositioning you with a unique irresistible offer.
So you said something and you said it and it came so natural, and yet my brain heard it. And like I said, okay, wait, we got to stop for a second. Make an irresistible offer. And it was something like so good or so strong that it makes your competition irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
That is like if you just sat and thought about that for a second, like every obstacle, objection that you get when you're in competition becomes irrelevant if you think in terms of that statement. That's such a powerful statement.
Yeah, I think business owners just don't try hard enough. And it doesn't mean you need to give away the farm or
Right.
you need to add more hours onto it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what do you do in such a unique way, like your market dominating position packaged up in an offer? I'd like to go with 3-tier. I still like good, better, best 3-tier old fashioned offers.
Mm-hmm.
It work, in a way that makes the competition irrelevant. And if you can just spend a little bit more time on your offer, it
Right.
makes it really great, because your competition isn't.
Right.
Your competition is going for what's easy, what's always been done in the industry. This is how we do it. This is just how it's done. Like in coaching, hourly rates.
Yeah.
We charge $99 an hour for coaching, because and then they just do that and they sell that because that's how it's done. That's what everybody does. Okay.
Sure.
Well, what if you didn't do that? What if you did the exact opposite of the, $99 an hour coaching rate and put together an offer that was irresistible, that maybe included an hour with you on Zoom, a recording of the session, access to your e-learning marketing center, access to, a private chat messaging board where your clients could send you a short, message on chat 24 hours a day or whatever, or access to a hotline, a tech desk hotline or something, so just by thinking through,
Right.
how you can provide more value to people without giving them more of your time could
Mhm.
make your offer better than your competition's, and will help you close more sales and increase your price and provide and actually give a better outcome and value to your clients if you just think through it a little bit.
So obviously YouTube, you're nailing it there. A lot of people struggle with behind the camera or in front of the camera, if you may. They struggle with that. And yet, YouTube is, connected to Google, which means it gets a lot of traffic on search. How do you coach somebody, or what would you say to somebody that struggles with that? I just don't want to be on camera. Like, I just don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't think I look good on the camera.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. There's a lot of everybody has limiting beliefs and self-talk that we tell ourselves about things, like
Right.
I'm too this or I'm too that. But what do you want more? For me, what I want in my business is a steady stream of new prospects to talk to, without having to go to networking meetings. I'm majorly introverted, Pat, like super
No way.
big time. I love sitting in my house. I'm a major homebody. When I go to a conference or something, I'm exhausted, by the end of the
Yeah.
conference. It wears me out. But
Yeah.
and I don't like to be the center of attention. Like, I don't blow up my social media and document my whole entire life. That's not me. It's not how I work. I'm a very private person. But with YouTube, what I want more than putting myself on camera is freedom in my business. And I want to be able to generate leads, 24/7, 365 without having to do the things that make me uncomfortable. So I want that more. And so it motivates me to get on camera.
Right.
The other aspect I'll say that has worked for me is just being disciplined. When motivation fails, discipline can do a lot for you as an entrepreneur. And I'm not thinking about, I don't feel good today, or I don't like the way my hair looks, or I've got this issue going on in my life and I don't feel like, being happy, shiny person on camera. But when you don't feel like it, you do it anyways.
That's the best
you
time
embrace
to do it,
the
right?
suck, they say, and you just show up and just remaining disciplined. So I decided in 2020, when lockdowns hit and I didn't have any other way to get in front of people, was that I was going to be disciplined and show up on camera every week, no matter what. And I've maintained that promise over the last 4 years. I have made a YouTube video every week, no matter what. Maybe 3 or 4 weeks I've missed in 4 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I do it no matter what. Ups, downs, I'm just always there.
And it's good. And we're going to get that information where people can go listen to it and watch it. So then let me ask you this. I'm going to transition a little bit because you're doing some great stuff with businesses, and I'm a byproduct of that, if you may, in the digital magazine space, and we're going to talk about that. But you also consult with business owners on marketing. And so when you do that, like I'm assuming people are listening and going, okay, I want to get this. I want to start bringing that stream of business and that stream of revenue. So where do you you already talked a little bit about this, but let's say that I'm a marketing client, right? Like, what are the biggest things you see in the beginning that you need to break down from that client to get them out of where they are, to get them to where they need to get to?
So I actually wrote a book about this because I saw it over and over again and over again. And the first roadblock that I have to overcome for all of my clients that make them a great client is your marketing mindset. You have to adopt a new identity of, I am a marketer of these services, not just a provider of the services. So you are not just a chiropractor or just a lawyer. You are a marketer of chiropractic services. You are a marketer of legal services. Now, we're not going to put that on your website. That's not what I'm saying.
Right,
what I'm saying is that you need to see yourself as the spokesperson of your business, and you need to see yourselves as the person in charge of your marketing. Even if you're working with a consultant like me, even if you have a social media manager, even if you have a business coach, even if you've got a graphic designer and a web guy, even if you still need to make marketing important. That doesn't work for everybody. And let me tell you, this is a funny story, I think. A client of mine referred me to a friend of hers who was struggling with her marketing. She will remain. And she says, my friend really needs your help. Please talk with her. I said, okay. So I went to her LinkedIn. She set up a call. And then I went to her LinkedIn to try to just kind of see what I could learn about her business before we jump on the call. And in her LinkedIn profile, she literally had the words, I hate marketing. Let's just grab coffee instead. Okay. And I was like,
OMG.
Yeah, just maybe not a great prospect for me, but I hate marketing. Let's grab coffee instead. She was building her business through networking, one relationship, right? And didn't want to be seen as a marketer. Some people have these weird money blocks about sales and marketing. They think sales is a dirty word, and they got all this weird hang up. Not me. I'm a capitalist and I love the free enterprise system. I think it's the best way out of poverty and gives you the most freedom in your life. So,
and anybody can do it, right?
And anybody can do it. But if that's your mentality, that's not really going to work, right?
Right.
Anyway, so she has, I hate marketing on her LinkedIn. I get her on the call and I'm like, I am going to make you love marketing. You've got to, because if you can't get over the mindset, nothing else is going to work. You're not going to want to put in place the strategies. You're not going to want to build a team. You're not going to want to trust your team to choose the right tactics for yourself. You're going to be measuring the wrong stuff. Like the thing that needs to happen first is that you have the right mindset. And so I think that's really key when I'm starting with people is I do a, thermometer check on them and say, what temperature are you at? Hot or cold on marketing? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Now, I have learned after working with her for a couple months, I had to part ways with her because I couldn't force her to see any different. She could never let go of, wanting to use technology. She hated it. She never could see herself like as an expert in her field, even though she had a lot of self-talk and limiting beliefs about positioning herself, like a lot of who do I think I am kind of stuff, probably childhood. I don't know. But she could never see herself as someone who had ideas to share and a message worth hearing. And if I can't get people to get that unlocked within a couple of weeks of working with me, it's never going to work. So, she stuck with me for 2 months.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what? This is just not going to work. I feel like I'm pulling you into something that you don't want to do. Let's just part ways as friends. And I saw her actually 2 months ago at an event, and she gives me a big hug and we're friends. And she's back to doing her business her way, one person at a time, going to networking meetings. That's working. But that's usually where I start is with mindset. Do you see yourself as an authority? Do you see yourself as an expert? Do you want to share your best ideas on the internet? Do you want to create information that helps people make decisions? If you don't, and you want to hold all that too close, this type of marketing that I do isn't really going to be a great fit.
Well, and here's what I find, in my world as a business consultant is that, and I had this conversation with somebody a while back, is, not everybody is made, desires to be a big time entrepreneur or have a big business. And that's okay. And actually, it's probably better because, when you think about somebody who doesn't think that way, then they may not be thinking that way in everything they do in terms of the service they offer, the follow-up they offer, the things that are really, required to have huge impact on people. So that does not surprise me, the mindset piece at all. And so let's I want to transition into the world of the digital magazine. So you've really created a niche there, and we're excited. I don't know, you could probably tell me, but we're probably halfway into our journey of getting our first publication out. We're super excited, and the process has been amazing. But tell me where that came from, and tell me how people could benefit by doing that.
It was back to Dan Kennedy idea. I was sitting at a super conference in 2016. I think it was in Cleveland that year, or maybe it was before. I don't know, somewhere around that time. And there was a panel about building your authority. And there was a gentleman named Frank Miranda. He's they call him the Dan Kennedy of Italy. He's a guy, but he's a major information marketer in Italy. And he was on the panel and he held up his magazine and he was telling everybody how he had been using it, leveraging the magazine to grow his coaching and consulting business. The guy's uber successful. And he was just saying, hey, this is a really cool thing that I have been doing in my business. And then I was marinating on it. And when I worked at Kennedy Space Center, I actually published a magazine for NASA called The Orbiter, which was a behind the scenes of what's going on at Kennedy Space Center. I used to call them our armchair astronauts. It was like membership program. You would pay a little bit of money and then we'd send you this newsletter every quarter. And I instead of it just being a newsletter, I had it, full 4-color design with photos, and it was a magazine. And so I was like, oh yeah, I used to do that a long time ago. I used to publish a magazine. And then when I decided to, kind of part ways with my business partners, I went to that idea. I went to the Dan Kennedy library in my mind, and I was like, what are some things that I could do that I already kind of know how to do because I've done them in the past to help me rebrand myself and relaunch, not as an agency owner, but as a, consultant, speaker, author kind of a person. And so I decided to publish a magazine. And at first I just did the print version of the magazine. And then at the same time, I'm learning about funnels. And generating leads online. And I said, oh, you know what? Instead of just creating a print magazine and having a box full of 8.5 by 11, 40-page pretty brochures sitting in my office, why don't I marry that with a funnel and turn the print version into a digital flip book online, a digital flip book magazine that operates like a print magazine, but is digitized, and then build a funnel out of it. And so I coined the term magazine funnel and built what I think is the way that magazine funnels should be set up. Like I have probably, we call it funnel hacked, but looked at hundreds of ways that magazines and like celebrities in particular had been leveraging a magazine. People like, Oprah Winfrey has ran a magazine for 18 years. And just all these different celebrity type magazines, and looking at how they were doing their subscription page and looking at what I think was working well after I would put myself in their funnels, and I would, go through and say, this was working really well. This doesn't work at all. Why are they doing it this way? And I designed a better way, like a new way of doing a magazine funnel. And so that was, and then, ClickFunnels found out about it and put me on ClickFunnels radio and all that stuff as a new, a different type of funnel. So that's kind of where it started. But it all, I think every good idea that we have in our life comes from a series of places that we've been in our life. It's not just like one thing that is like, oh, that's it. That's the idea. It's like usually a buildup and just exposing yourself to a lot of different ideas and a lot of different ways of doing business or marketing yourself. So that's what happened for me. And that's how I came up with the magazine funnel idea.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, right? Like magazines have been around forever. And then we go, okay, well, print doesn't really work anymore. And yet, I don't know for you, but I'm seeing more and more print now come back as the economy has changed, where it people weren't doing it for a while. And then people who kept doing it stood out because they were the only ones doing it, right? Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. And so let's say, again, I want to drill just down a little bit further on this piece, because I think from my perspective, our goal on this show is to give people strategies that can help them in their business. And the one thing they need to do is drive more leads, right? And I certainly have bought into the fact that the magazine will do that. And so in terms of people thinking about, like, the first thought people would have is, oh, okay, what does it cost? And really, you've created a model where when executed properly, it really shouldn't cost you anything, right? I mean, you could do what you needed to do to offset the cost to it.
Yeah, I'll give you two inspiring stories. Okay, so I have one client. They are a metal roofing company out in Colorado Springs. They started out just as a magazine funnel client with me. She saw me speaking at a keynote one year when I first moved here in 2019. And the owner saw me speaking. It's a business that's been around for 68 years, family owned and operated. Her dad started it. And she was really struggling in the economy. And then during lockdowns and COVID and all that, restrictions really got hit hard. And so we did the magazine funnel as a way to differentiate herself from all of the other contractors. These are stone-coated steel metal roofs. They're really nice, super high end, very, very expensive. So she's not selling,
right.
That's not what I'm talking about. And so we created the magazine to help her close more deals. So she started printing them up, putting them in a wow box, taking them with her on the sales calls and closing business like right away. She closed a deal like on the spot because the woman, the wife of the house in this transaction was so impressed with the magazine. She was like, just saw that like female and attention to detail and was like blown away. And, signed the contract on the spot. So the magazine has helped traditional type businesses just close more deals, land better clients, sell high ticket. Man, if you're selling high ticket, a magazine is a no-brainer. Super easy. She's been running the same magazine. We changed the cover one time in 3 years. So the same magazine since 2019. They now have a new owner. His name's Larry. And I'm their outsourced CMO now. When she sold the business to Larry, she insisted that I go with the sale, which is pretty cool.
Love it. I love it.
So I remain their outsourced CMO. Larry told me that in 2023, they generated 188 leads off of their website from the magazine downloads, 80 some sales appointments, and sold 45 roofs, I think it is. So, and that's all that we do.
Yeah.
Like that's it. We do a YouTube video every week that leads to the magazine, and that's it. And that's all. He doesn't go to networking. He's just more of like an investor business owner. He just wants it to run, and he doesn't want to be out running around to networking events and stuff.
Okay. So I'm just doing a little bit of math, and we just did a roof on our house because we had hail damage, and it was $65,000, and it was an asphalt shingle roof, and it's not like it's huge square footage. I mean, 48, you said 48?
Yeah, 40 something.
Even if that was at 100,000 a roof, that's 4.8 million.
Yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar company. And that's that's primarily how they're marketing. That's it.
Yeah.
It's still, and it's running. We haven't touched it. We've updated the cover because I got new photos of it.
So wait a minute. It's 3 years, and the only thing that's been updated is the cover. All the other content inside is the content inside.
Yeah, because you only need one roof. It's not like a business, and there's nothing else.
Right.
To don't sell anything else. That's it. I tried to get them to sell gutters and stuff, and they won't do it. But it's like, that's all that they do is metal roofs, period. And it's a one-time sale, so we don't need to create new content for the magazine all the time. It's
sure.
Fun. Now, I have other clients who they're constantly publishing quarterly. I have a coach. He's like the Tony Robbins of home healthcare business coaching.
Yeah.
Been with me. We're on issue number 10, going live on this Friday, I believe. Issue number 10, he publishes quarterly, and he publishes all the time because he has new client success stories. He has new prospects that he's got his award winners from his conference that he wants to feature. He has a conference that he sells twice a year, so he promotes that in the magazine. He wants to sell copies of his books. He gives it away for free as a lead magnet on his website, and he's constantly generating business off of it. He told me that, and he has a write-up in my magazine about it, where when he can see a revenue increase when he publishes the magazine and versus when he doesn't. So he will always publish. He loves it.
Yeah.
And then I have other clients who don't have a business on the back. They're not selling roofs or coaching or consulting or anything else, and they just make money off of their subscriber list, selling ads to advertiser. I have one guy. It's called Cal Broker Magazine in California. It's for insurance agents in California. He's got about 28,000 subscribers. It's a large list. He makes $42,000 a month in advertising revenue publishing his magazine. When he first started working with me, he was making like $35,000. So I've helped him increase his monthly ad revenue. And then we also helped him decrease his costs because we got rid of the print and went 100% digital. So he's like, his profit margin through the roof too. So there's a lot of different things.
A lot of different ways.
A magazine, everybody is a little bit different. I have a way that I think the funnel needs to go, but the magazines are all done custom. And then the important part is what you do with it on the back. What's your monetization plan? Are you selling roofs or coaching or advertising? That's it. But if you're selling advertising, shoot, 42 grand a month in advertising, way 10 times pays for the publishing, publishing.
Wow. Okay. So I'm super pumped about getting mine done now. Absolutely. So I want to ask you one other question, and then we're going to kind of put a ribbon on this conversation. So you mentioned that your team, and I think I know the answer, but I still want to ask you to bring it out. People think, well, I can't afford a team. Like I can't afford to hire the marketing this and the this and the this and the that. And talk to that, because I think people have a mindset around that is not accurate. I don't need to go hire 12 people is what I guess I'm asking. Is that?
Well, you probably already do have 12 people. It's just not, it's probably like a 3-ring circus at this point. Like, like everybody has a website guy. Everybody probably like at this, the clients that I work with, they all have like a virtual assistant. They might have like a social media manager. They have a business coach. They've got freelancers that they're hiring. Everybody has a team. It's just a matter of, are you being purposeful with your strategy with them? Is everybody working towards the same direction, or are they working in silos, which is the case where it's like the web guy's like, "Well, I don't know what you guys are doing over there with web, with this is just what I do,
Sure.
we're cranking out blogs for SEO. And it's like, well, is that even working? Or your social media manager is just trying to get like vanity metrics or something, or your business coach is helping you with like process and system and people problems or something. Usually the people that I work, they all have a team. It's just a little disorganized at that point. But also if you just truthfully don't have a team and you're just like starting at square one, I have a resource on my website. I don't know if this is okay to give away. It's free.
Absolutely.
Charge for it, but you go to jendevore.rocks/outsourced, and there's a PDF that you can download for free. It's a companion guide to my book that's on Amazon. It's called Delegate to Accelerate. It's basically like a self-assessment that you can take to figure out. It's all of the marketing tasks, not that you're going to be doing all of these tasks.
Sure.
Tried to think of everything that I could think of that everybody normally does. And you take a self-assessment and you say, is this something that I need to do? Is this something that someone else needs to do? Or is this something that we can quit doing? It's like three columns. And you just go boom, 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 real quick down the little self-assessment and start with that and figure out what are the things that you're already doing that you need to keep doing, or the things that you need to outsource, or the things that you need to quit doing. And I would start with that, and then take an inventory of the things that you should be doing that you don't want to do or can't do, and outsource those things first, right? And like figure out, okay, well, who is going to do that? Not, that book, Who Not How, I think is excellent, but like, who is going to do this? Not how do I learn how to edit those, but like who is going to do that? And that's all business problems are people problems. Really, it's not unfigure outable. But it's like, and then just figure out who that person is, who needs to be your designer or your email database marketer or your content creator, your blog person, your website host. All of those things have to happen.
Right.
I think it's just a matter of getting a full understanding of where you're at now as the first. So that resource would be, I think, really.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna. I mean, you first of all, oh my gosh, like you've been amazing today. If somebody listens for 5 minutes, they'll take things away from the conversation today. So I want to give you an opportunity to give us a final thought on whatever you want to give us a final thought on. However, before I do that, somebody wants to get in touch with you, somebody wants to reach out, what's the best way for them to do that?
Just go to my website. It's jendevore.rocks, ROCKS. And that has connections to my contact form. You can send me a message. It has my YouTube channel. I release a free video training every week, which is super high value, I've been told.
It is. So it absolutely is.
Get in contact there. So that would probably be the best place to start.
Very cool. Okay, so what would you share with an entrepreneur, business owner who's on this journey to close that gap between their finances and their freedom? What would be your final thought to share with them?
My final thought would be to start with the end in mind and work backwards. For me, I work about 30 hours a week. That's what is important to me. I only work like 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday. I do not work on Fridays generally. And I designed my business around that lifestyle. It gives me the free time. That's why I'm going through like Bob Ross painting certification, because I have a paint studio in my basement. Like I work out 5-6 days a week. Like I have a lot of free time to do what I want to do, because I built my business with that end in mind, maintaining Fridays off, working 9 to 4, don't work weekends, all that, and having a really great, well-rounded life. I'm also happily married. My stepkids love me. I'm in super women's ministry at my church. Like I've got all kinds of free time to work on the things that matter to me, because I started with that end in mind, and then I've reverse engineered the business. And I think that and I made that mistake at the beginning. Like I told you, I didn't do that at the beginning. I, jammed my life with work, and then the happiness and the joy and the relationships just kind of got what was left over. And so I would say, think about what you really want, not just in your business, but in your life.
Yeah. What a great thought. What a great way to end the show. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being here today. And listeners and folks who are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for your support. Your support allows us and actually adds value to the folks that show up and do our interviews and also support what they're doing. That's why we have them here. These folks are contributing to entrepreneurs and business owners. That's why we're bringing them to the show. So, Jen, thanks so much for being here today. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, Pat.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining Destination Business Freedom with Pat Mancuso. May the insights and strategies shared guide you towards financial prosperity and personal freedom. Continue to navigate boldly. Until next time, keep transforming challenges into achievements. Farewell and stay the course.